Quick recap of where we are right now. 12 naughty, nasty little shows gone. 11 sweet, good little shows left.
We are the music makers, and we are the dreamers of dreams.
Again, you have the right to disagree with me, but personal attacks over opinions are just petty and terrible. If you don't like me, go watch a different YouTuber that does Transformers videos like Eddie Dewan, Mark2131, Weebot the Robot, Robust My Aft, Mark Creation Studios, Quinton Reviews, Shokaiv, Lindsay.
Make your body out and shoulders, rust his muscles, very strong. Tell me body, how does it take to bear and conquer my
Q Transformers Mystery of Convoy Returns is, obscure. No one ever talks about this show, and I swear to God, even some of the franchise's die-hard fans either don't remember it or just brush it under the rug. I think this show is kind of amazing. Here's the premise. You got a bunch of guys in a booth recording a conversation in character as their respective roles. The majority of the episodes focus on Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, and Lockdown just kinda talking shit. For the most part, they don't have a script. All their conversations are completely improvised, and it's so funny.
女子的には柔らかい方がいいんじゃないか。私たち硬いです。
柔らかい
柔らかい。質感です。質感。
柔らかトランスフォーマー
柔らかトランスフォーマー。それいい。それじゃない。そうだなそれ。柔らかトランスフォーマーでいくか。
なんかふかふかしてんのね。でもなんかそんな商品あったよね。
These guys know their Transformers stuff. They just start chatting bare shit about the entire franchise, and that's kinda it. Back when this show came out, they'd upload episodes onto YouTube weekly. I remember watching them as they were coming out and laughing my ass off. Once it ended, they took them all down and packaged them together as a DVD. Only in Japan. As far as I'm aware, there's only one episode left on the internet. The first one. I've done countless deep dives into the internet hoping to find at least episode 2, but it's just not meant to be. Honestly, if someone can track down this show fully subtitled, I will kiss you on the penis.
他にないよ他にオプティ
そうだな。そうだな。待ってくれ。
汗がすごいけど大丈夫だ
そう大丈夫。ちょっと冷やだ。
トランスフォーマーの
ここオイルが漏れてる。オイルが漏れてる。ちょっと待ってくれ。
Transformers Zone is pretty damn fun. It's kinda basic. There's really not much to it. The plot's as simple Jim, only like one character develops a tool in the entire show, and it's really short, like criminally short. The show's fast-paced, it's exciting, the animation is fluid, and I don't know about you guys, but I felt this was probably the best conclusion to G1 that we were ever gonna get. I don't really know what else I can say. You can seriously sit through Zone in like under an hour. It's short and sweet, just how I like my double mastectomy. Beast Machines is probably the most divisive show in the fandom. Some people love it and say it's one of, if not the best thing to come out of the franchise, while others say it's terrible and it shat on everything that came before it. Fandoms never change. Personally, I think Beast Machines works to an extent. The themes it tackles are just way too deep for a kids show. You got themes of division between the needs of the many and the desires of one, the consequences of extremism, and why living in a society that's only getting more and more technological could be the death of us. When you get down to it, the show's basically saying, we live in a society. Some of these work and some really, really don't. Beast Machines is a completely new approach to the franchise, and at times it's amazing. With a few tweaks, it could potentially be the best Transformers show. Unfortunately, the characters are inconsistent to their Beast Wars counterparts, the character designs are just awful, and each episode has so much padding. But the show is bold, it's different, it's unique, not just for Transformers, for cartoons in general, in a sense. I'd say it's overlooked by most cartoon fans. It's not the best cartoon of its time by any stretch, but it's a fascinating attempt. Honestly, I'm not going into specifics about this show because I think you should go in as blind as you can to enjoy it to its fullest. You might just enjoy it a lot or not. It's actually quite likely you won't like this show very much. I just have bad taste. I like a lot of bad things, like the next show on this list. There's a part of me that wants to say that Robots in Disguise 2001 is some of the most fun I've had with the franchise, but there's another part of me that says Robots in Disguise 2001 kinda sucks. The wiki describes this show as the George Lazenby of Transformers shows, and it really kind of is. Most of the fan base doesn't like it. It's unfairly overlooked and ignored because it's not as good as the two shows it's sandwiched in between or something. And it didn't really do all that much new. But much like George Lazenby, people have been a lot more forgiving to it over time, and it slowly gained a kind of cult following in the fandom. Also, if you don't know who George Lazenby is, that entire analogy just went right over your head.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, the show's pretty good, yeah. It does everything it needs to do, which is just be entertaining. It's one of the few shows in the franchise that's just a flat-out comedy. And unlike most of them, it is actually funny. It revels in the franchise's ridiculousness and uses it as a spring pad to tell these wild, ludicrous stories and jokes that are just absurd, but in like a good way. I like the designs of the robots in this show a lot. There's only one or two that I think look kinda sucky. The animation is passable, I guess, and Skybite is the best character ever. Just in general, there's no better character in all of fiction except for that one. I don't know where to slide this in, but this show has really weird promos.
Transform! Shift it! Make it! Turn it! Predacons, you mess with the wrong planet! Shape it! Size it! We got it! Autobots, Megatron, sighted!
I mean, it's like they're describing a Bop It or something. Anyway, Robots in Disguise 2001. I don't think I'd say it's a great show, but it's very entertaining. A majority of the fan base hates it because it's too silly or something, but come on guys, it wasn't the worst thing to happen in 2001. Yep, you read my mind. It's the same year the straight-to-video film Scooby-Doo and the Cyber Chase came out. It's a tragedy, it's so sad. Okay, this is where everybody just clicks off the video, but please let me explain. Transformers Prime is not a bad show. Just cause it's not number one doesn't mean it's not good. I know I've said a lot of stuff about Prime, but honestly I still think it's kinda alright. Like Armada, there's so many things that hold Prime back from being a great show. If those things were to be magically fixed by a wizard, then Prime would probably be number one on this list. I've talked a lot about Prime and why I take issue with most of it. It's gotten to the point where I feel like I'm on immensely thin ice whenever I talk about it because I know someone's gonna want my head on a spike for not thinking it's the best thing ever. So instead of repeating every single thing I said in my Prime review, I'm gonna talk about why it's so high on the list. Transformers Prime isn't that bad, guys. Jesus Christ, pull your socks up and calm down. While this show does have a lot of problems, it is better than most of the shows in the franchise. Now, what does that tell you about the other shows, am I right? It's definitely one of the more competent shows of the lot. It's well animated, the voice acting is pretty great for the most part. When it's funny, it's actually funny, and there's some action scenes that are pretty sweet. Now, the writing and the characters are a completely different story aside from Knockout, not even kidding, one of the best characters in the franchise hands down. Prime has its highs and it has its lows. Christ, it has its lows. But it never gets awful. The same cannot be said for Predacons Rising, the series finale television movie, which is actually just terrible. This is completely unrelated, but back when the show was airing, they had these segments in between episodes where Frank Welker as Megatron would answer questions and stuff. I mean, it's kind of funny, I guess, but this one right here.
I would most like to vaporize anyone on reality television, except for Donald Trump. Out of professional courtesy, of course.
Yeah, that hasn't aged well at all. Like I said, I've talked about all this before. You can just watch my review. I'm moving on. Prime's at number 7. Do not at me. Now, I know a lot of people might get angry that I put Prime at number 8, But have you seen Beast Wars 2? Beast Wars 2 is strange, crazy, absurd, and I love it. It's borderline a parody of Transformers. They take pre-established ideas and rules and just go crazy with them. Like, there's a combiner in this show where each of its members make up a mariachi band, and when they combine, they create a giant one-man mariachi band. Like, just watch it! Now, this is where everybody starts calling me biased and stupid. I'm putting all the goofy, sillier shows above the deeper and more serious ones. I must hate all things dark and gritty. Well, that's not true. One of my all-time favourite movies is Freds, which is about England falling into nuclear fallout. There's no jokes, there's nothing funny about this movie, it's just miserable. A glowing recommendation. Okay, real talk. I was so entertained for the majority of this show. The first episode is kind of dull, and it does take a couple of episodes for the show to really find its feet, but once it gets going, it's like walking into a clothes store and finding your nan convulsing on the floor. There's something about it that just hooks you in and makes you want to keep watching. It's not particularly deep or engaging, it's not even that good really, but it's just so ridiculous that it's hard not to love. I've got so much to say about this, but maybe another time, we'll see. I'll leave you on this though. This show has one of my favourite Starscreams ever. No one ever talks about him. He's such a fuckhead, it's great. I'm not going to linger on this one for long because I'm actually embarrassed how high it is. I want to make the point that not every cartoon has to be intellectually stimulating or particularly clever. I really hope you understand this. Transformers Rescue Bots is a pretty good show. When I was watching all these shows for this, Rescue Bots caught me the most off guard. For a show aimed at little babies, it's way better than it has any right to be. Not only is it cute and wholesome, but it's actually funny, and it's not just the occasional joke, it's consistently pumping out these jokes that are just gold. Now, this is a hard show to talk about due to the immense amount of man-children that are going to be jumping down my throat because it's so high on the list. I actually don't know what to say about it. Among fans of the franchise, there's this term that gets thrown around a lot called ruined forever. People use it whenever, well, anything new gets introduced to the franchise. Which is ironic, since it's all about change. Transformers anime, ruined forever. They're animals now, ruined forever. Awful live action movies, ruined for... Wait, that last one might actually be true. But thanks to my elite team of scientists, I figured out the exact date the franchise became ruined forever. September 17th, 1984. Why this date? Because that's the day the franchise began. A lot of people hold the Transformers in a high regard simply because it's the start of the franchise. This is where all of this came from. We wouldn't have this, or that, without the Transformers, or G1 for short. G1, especially when compared to the cartoons of the time, is actually pretty solid. You wouldn't think so for a show that was made with the sole purpose of just selling toys. It's hard to believe that anyone behind the scenes actually cared about what they were making. There must have been just a little bit of passion in here, because there's moments where it really feels like the creators cared when they were writing all 16 of these episodes. It's a fun time that... Wait, what? There's 3 more seasons? Oh yeah, I don't like remembering that. The first season of G1 is pretty good. It's not high art, but it's still pretty decent. Season 2 is not as good. There's some good episodes in here, sure, but it outstays its welcome. There's a lot of pretty mediocre to bad stories, and it's just dry, I guess. There was this spark of excitement in season 1. The show felt like it was really into itself, like a child opening Christmas presents. Season 2 feels manufactured. Of course, there's exceptions such as the Golden Lagoon, the Master Builder, the Key to Vector Sigma, and Megatron's Master Plan, just to name a few. But the majority of the season just isn't as fun as it used to be back in the first season. Even the worst episode of that season was pretty funky and neat. Season 2 isn't bad, it's just not the same. And then we got season 3 and 4. The 3rd and 4th seasons of G1 are complete tragedies. These 2 seasons are so wildly different to the first 2 that it's genuinely refreshing. I like some of the themes and stuff that are tackled in season 3. I like most of the new cast too. Some standout episodes include the 5 Faces of Darkness, Chaos, Dark Awakening, Fight or Flee, Ghost in the Machine, The Dweller in the Depths, Call of the Primitives, and The Burden Hardest to Bear. Other than that, season 3 and 4 combined make up some of the worst of G1. From awful sound mixing to animation errors galore to plots that make no sense at all, and pretty much every character outside of the main ensemble being really forgettable, except Octane. That's my boy. Octane is my son. It's not bad because it's different, it's bad because it's just not very well done. There's some good ideas and it's commendable that they tried something so different to what came before, but it just doesn't work.
But PaperPlane, why is G1 so high on your list if you hate it so much?
This is the thing about G1. Despite everything, it's never boring. Sure, there's huge chunks of it that are just not fun, but they're still really interesting in a cosmic sort of way. It's endlessly entertaining, even now. Maybe not in the way the creators intended it to be. And hey, they must have done something right. The Transformers exploded. It was one of the most popular toys and cartoons of the 1980s. It was the blueprint for everything that we love in this franchise, from IDW to the Bumblebee movie to those weird PSAs that aired at the time.
Nice car. Should we borrow it? Nah, that's stealing. Come on, I'll ask for permission later.
Looks more like you're asking for trouble now. And knowing is half the battle.
The Transformers!
Beast Wars is good. Okay, Beast Wars has a reputation. People hail it as one of the greatest cartoons of the 1990s, not just for its influential animation, but for its story and characters too, all of which is legit. I don't know what to say that hasn't been said by everyone else other than the fact that Season 3 drags. I swear I never see anyone ever bring up how uninteresting and dull Season 3 of Beast Wars is, especially after the end of Season 2, which was dead ass one of the show's high points. That doesn't detract from the overall quality and impact of Beast Wars though. It's a fine show, it does a lot of interesting things, it's got a pretty engaging set of characters and story arcs, and even if you don't like it, you can find fun in its horribly dated CGI animation. It never fails to amuse.
Pardon me, gentlemen, I must check my AOL. I dare some punk to cruise through here going above the speed limit.
Transformers Victory is really good, you guys. I'm kind of on edge now because I've made it my duty to make you watch Victory. Not watching Victory is the equivalent of signing a form to abstain from any form of sexual intercourse. You're not cool if you have not seen Victory. I love this show. It's able to strike this weird balance between being goofy and silly while also keeping you engaged in its characters. It's able to have these serious and sad moments without them feeling too jarring, which is hard to do. It's mental, it's absolutely crazy. You know that classic transition? Look at Victory's transition, man. It doesn't care, but at the same time, characters fucking die. When a character's gone, they're gone. Some of these kills, especially towards the end of the show, are just brutal, but it still manages to stay bubbly and warm and fun, and oh my god, that theme song. Honestly, this might just be the most underrated show out of all of them. Get back to me on it. I feel like I'm the only person in the whole world that really, really likes Transformers Victory. Please watch it, I need validation. I said I would address this at the start of part 1, so here we go. Since July of 2018 and now, there have been 2 new additions to the franchise, and we're going to cover them real quick. First off, Rescue Bots Academy, the sequel to Rescue Bots. It's fine. That's it. It's just a fine little show for babies. I'd say what made Rescue Bots so unique and fun is missing here, and all that's left is the wholesome factor, and it is pretty adorable, so yeah. Next up, the show you've all been clambering to hear my thoughts on apparently, Transformers Cyberverse is pretty good. It's got a plot that's pretty unique to the franchise, the art direction is peng, and our unlikely heroes that we follow throughout are all likeable and fun to watch. I won't spoil it for anyone that hasn't seen it yet, but it is the most fun I've had with the franchise in a while. If I'm being honest, this might just be the best Transformers show since... well... beating a dead horse here with Transformers Animated at #1, making it the best Transformers cartoon, which I guess means something. Transformers Animated is great. I don't know where to start with it, to be honest. The story and the characters click, everything just works. It's such a solid cartoon, there's not much I can really fault about it other than, ironically, the animation. Somehow it manages to slowly degrade over the course of the show, like the animation starts off pretty decent. And while it never gets bad, there is a noticeable lack of frames, movement, animation as the show goes on. But Transformers Animated does so much right that it's pretty forgivable. It took risks, it followed the foundation laid out by G1 while also doing its own thing completely. The cast is fun, the characters actually develop in a believable way. Ratchet especially might just be one of the most well written and developed characters in the franchise. The show has its low points, sure, every show does. But those low points are never bad enough to get you to stop watching because the characters are so engaging and likable. You root for them, you're happy for their successes, and you feel bad for their failures. There's so many little details, not just Easter eggs, but character moments that no one ever brings up, like Optimus's speech in the first episode about being a small cog in a big machine we later learn was stolen from Sentinel Prime in Season 2. They don't draw attention to it, and it's so easy to miss. There's so many of these little moments throughout the whole show. It's fun, it's smart, it's sad. It's by far the best Transformers show by virtue of it just wanting to tell a genuine story. Sure, there was corporate meddling from the higher-ups, but it never gets in the way, really. So there we have it. Transformers Animated is the best Transformers show ever made. In 1990, after Transformers Zone, interest in the Transformers brand was waning. Takara was still designing new Transformers toys to sell, but the brand was dying. Transformers in Japan just wasn't as profitable as it used to be, which was a bit of a problem for Takara. They just designed all these new toys with no real guarantee they would actually make a profit off of them. So why not make a new cartoon, one that isn't Transformers? It may share some similarities, sure, but it doesn't share the name. So that same year, the Brave franchise was established, kicking off with Brave X Kaiser. Now, if Transformers wasn't cynical enough, this show was literally made as a throwaway, a last-ditch effort to sell some toys. What no one really anticipated was that Brave became pretty big in Japan. It's faded into obscurity now, mainly because it was unheard of in the West, but at the time it was the new Transformers. The toys were selling well and the shows were doing okay, but like I said, it was cynical. The first 4 shows in what's now known as the Brave saga, while not bad, all feel so corporate, made by a boardroom. None of it feels genuine. All that changed in 1994 with Brave Police J. Decker. This show, this motherfucking show, it's so good, it doesn't get a number. It's a 0 because it's so good. If this had the Transformers label attached to it, I guarantee a lot of fans would hold it in high regard as the best Transformers show ever. It's technically a Transformers show, that's why it's here. More people need to see this show. Its characters are likable, its story, while slightly convoluted and confusing, still packs a punch. When this show is sad, it is so sad. This show left me in tears. Its message is so unique to the mecha anime genre that it's commendable. This show feels like it was made by people seriously wanting to tell a story. It's not a perfect show, hell, I think I'd still watch animated over it, but it's so overlooked that it's not even funny. I want to spread this message. If you like Transformers, please watch J. Decker. Even just the first episode, like, come on man. Damn. It's so late now. I've been talking all night. Hang on, I'm gonna go grab some breakfast and we'll wrap this all up. Oh, Jesus. Fucking Jake Decker. Transformers and everything.
Fucking hell.
Oh my god. A spiritual entity from another dimension has come to kill me because I didn't have the correct opinion for which he had, and I didn't say in the video. We should be able to respect each other's opinions and be allowed to say whatever we really believe. We should... Come on, my friend. Let us bond over this experience.
Ja, det var Sillen om att någon är som officer. Jag har för jag.